brings me to my next question, which is actually good. How did you know, how long did it take you to realize, okay, we got to shut this location down? Because I've seen so many other owners out there just bleed out, just keep going, in the hopes of things turn around. You had everything stacked against you, 3 hours away. It was, what point when you finally threw in the towel, where you're like, okay, it doesn't make much sense for me to keep going with this location? How long did that take you to come to that conclusion?
I was in business there for actually 4 years, and I wasn't always robbing Paul to pay Peter kind of thing there. If that would have been my one and only gym, it wouldn't have been 4 years. It wouldn't have. I would have had to shut that down immediately. But I had invested in buying the building there, so I had bought the building, and it wasn't always a negative thing. That big chain didn't come in for probably 2 years after I was there, so I was doing fairly well until that happened. But it got to the point where I made a bad decision move. I thought we were moving into a better location. And I went from owning a building to leasing a building, but on what I thought was a better side of town. I'm learning from my mistakes, but so I leased a building, and that turned out to be a nightmare. And so that lease was very expensive. And then on top of it, the chain came in, and it was time to close. That was very difficult for me because I feel like that was a failure, and I don't deal with that very well. So I still struggle with that because I feel like I failed at that gym, but there honestly was nothing else. I had used every resource I knew to keep that gym going, and I couldn't do it anymore.
So what was the mistake, like the advice? Because usually sometimes new gym owners watch this, and this is why I put this out there for you to give the advice to everyone. What was the mistake that you learned from that you wouldn't do if you could have done it all over again? What would you have done different?
Oh, it really was nothing on my part, as the chain hurt me. The chain hurt me big time. And so that, just do your research, as far as if there is a chain there that's going to undercut, your prices, and I know they can rob Paul to pay Peter all day. I can't, I just couldn't do that. But otherwise, the regret I had was probably selling my building and moving to a leased building, because I didn't, it really was a utility thing, not so much a payment thing. It was a utility thing, and I didn't know that ahead of time. And so it was a nightmare as far as that goes. But I don't know, Anthony, if there's anything I really could have done, although I beat my head against the wall every day about this, because it's like, oh my gosh, I failed at that location, but I don't know what else I could have done. So
I don't think you could have did anything different. The only thing I saw major is that you're such a hands-on owner that prevented you from being there all the time. That's the only thing that I could see, because I would have no doubts in my mind that if you were there to be there, that would have been a huge difference with you not being there.
Right. I would agree. I would agree. It was too far away. I didn't have, the manager like I have in the other town kind of thing. But I agree with that. It was a job for them. It wasn't their bread and butter, so they could care less if somebody came in and joined.
Right.
I'm off at 5. So, kind of thing. I'm off at 5. I could care less if you join, where I'm like, no, but that
it's not their gym. Like, they don't have a vested interest as like you.